So I understand that people don't like the slogan. I get that, but I don't like death.
Congresswoman-elect Cori Bush set CNN on fire during an interview with Aaron Burnett. And I have a few clips here to share. So you're going to be seeing a lot more of Cori Bush on my channel. I've already covered her a number of times. Cori Bush is absolutely fantastic. She's of the working class, was a single mother, a nurse, came from the Black Lives Matter movement, knows what it's like to live out of her car. She knows what it's like to struggle. She understands what most Americans right now are going through. And you have somebody here who's bringing that fight with her to Congress. So I have several clips here. The first one deals with her discussing being mistaken for Breonna Taylor during her first week in D.C.
So you're wearing this mask that has Breonna Taylor's name on it. What was your reaction when not one, but I believe you said it was several Republicans called you Breonna?
You know, at the very first person, I just, I looked around a little bit like, is there somebody next to me? And then, but then when I explained who she was, then the person just kind of gave me this blank look. So it didn't seem like they were being malicious. They just didn't know. But then after the next and the next and the next, then, I really started to feel hurt because I'm like, this has been a national movement that somewhere between, the reports are between 15 and 26 million people protested up to July, from June into July. How do you not know? And we claim ourselves, we signed up to be leaders. We have to know what's happening in our communities, and not only our communities, but what's happening in other communities, because that's how we keep our people safe.
I mean, I have to say, Congresswoman-elect, it is saying something. I mean, they really did not even know who she was, and then what was their reaction? I mean, did you try to explain?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did. To each person that called me Breonna or said, hi, it was, "Hi, Breonna, how are you? I'm such and such." Or it was, "Oh, you must be Breonna Taylor." And so with each one, I explained who she was. And every single time it was this, oh, okay, all right, okay, good to meet you. It was just like this blank look, but it gave me an opportunity to teach, and so now they know who Breonna Taylor is, and hopefully they went to go research her, and we can further this conversation.
This really is stunning. It's incredible. These same lawmakers that scoff at the idea of defund the police don't even know who Breonna Taylor is. How can you possibly think you have all the information to form an opinion on the idea of maybe realigning police funds, putting some of those funds into other areas? How can you think you even have the ability to form an opinion on that if you don't even know the destruction that many of these police forces have caused around the country? It's incredible. And again, defund the police is simply realigning police funds. There's a debate about how much realignment, but as you've seen from city to city, there's been increased police budgets. Meanwhile, cuts to healthcare, cuts to education, cuts to infrastructure, cuts to everything else except for these police budgets. And that's because of the power of these police unions and the mayors being afraid of their police unions. So while you've seen these increases, there hasn't been any real benefit for the people living in these communities. And the police will complain about the crime rate. Well, clearly, putting more and more money into the police is not solving the problem. Maybe you should reinvest some of that money into these actual communities to help them. But these lawmakers have no idea. Completely clueless, and it's disgusting. It shows you the complete disconnect they have with reality, with the average individual, and also just how stunned they are to have somebody in the ranks who is from an activist movement, who actually understands what is going on. Next clip here, this is going to be, first, it's going to start with Democrat Jim Clyburn trying to pin Democratic losses on the slogan, defund the police, and then you're going to see Cori Bush come back and give her thoughts on that.
Jimmy Harrison started to plateau when defund the police showed up with a caption on TV right across his head. That stuff hurt Jimmy. And that's why I spoke out against it a long time ago. Right. I've always said that these headlines can kill a political effort.
And your colleague, Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger, actually began yelling on a call with House Democrats, and she said, quote, "The number one concern that people brought to me in my district that I barely re-won was defunding the police." Now, as I said, you use the words defund the police. You talk about refunding social services, but you use those words. You feel strongly that they're appropriate words. Are you worried, though, that they're hurting your party?
I think that when we have attacks, especially attacks that that should not, if we don't believe what the attacks are about, then I think that we have to work on our narrative and we have to work on putting the right information out. And so that's what I had to do in my own race when attacks came against me. And the other thing is, when attacks came against me, I didn't go back and say, "Oh, no. I pushed in, I leaned into it. Like, this is who I am, and this is what I meant." I think that maybe that means a new comms director, or maybe it's another consultant, to make sure that your message is getting across instead of blaming us. But this is the thing. We cannot spin. First of all, I respect Rep. Clyburn. Absolutely. We have a difference of opinion. But the thing is, instead of blaming one another for what could have happened, should have happened, instead of that, we have to look inward to say, hey, what could I have done differently? Not only that, the other thing is, if there was a problem, that should have been inside the caucus and not in the media. And so that is the issue that I think that we have to deal with. But the point is that there is still a problem with police brutality in this country. And so I understand that people don't like the slogan. I get that, but I don't like death. I don't like Black death. I don't like to keep seeing my people die at the hands of police and nothing is happening. I don't like that. So I think I can't care about people's feelings. I can't care about, if you like what I'm saying or not. My people are dying, and that's what I have to look at.
And this is exactly what sets Cori Bush apart from other Congress people. She fights back. She leans into the attacks because she knows the facts are on her side. It would be different if she was wrong and the facts weren't on her side and she was called out on it. But no, the facts are on her side. She understands what her community is going through. She's been there. She's lived it. And she fights back. This is what the Democratic Party is missing. There are so few people like Cori Bush in the party. You need actual fighters. You need an actual message. You need a national message. This race, the election, should not have been close. Yet, Donald Trump came way too close. He got millions of more votes than he did last time. The Democratic Party has no real national message. The only message this time was getting out Donald Trump, which worked, at least at the top of the ticket. But when it came down ballot, because there was no real national message and most Democrats simply ran away from attacks instead of actually leaning in and fighting for what they believed in, people had no reason to actually go out and vote for Democrats. This is what the party needs, many more Cori Bushes. And just another quote here from her. She says, "I get that some people don't like the slogan, defund the police, but I don't like death." This is the obvious response, the perfect response to any attacks against defund the police. Yeah, maybe messaging could be better. Maybe, because it requires too much explaining for some people, maybe it's not a great slogan. But it also, first of all, is not a slogan from the Democratic Party. It's not Cori Bush's slogan. It is a slogan from activist movements. So if she's going to be attacked on that, then she sees her role as explaining what that means, as opposed to cowering and hiding. This is what sets her apart. She understands the issues, she understands what people are going through, and she understands what people need to make it better. Last clip here, bit of a curveball or a bit of a turn, but this gets into Cori Bush discussing basically what it takes or what she's had to do to get ready for Congress.
And you said, quote, "When a regular person like me runs, it's hard to handle everything from how much it costs to run down to the clothes I'll need to wear at work." So tell me about the response you've been getting to that.
The response has been tremendous. So many people have reached out, women have reached out saying, I feel heard, or I don't feel ashamed. This is how I shop. And hopefully it's opening up the door for people to see that, especially as women, number one, we deal with wage inequality already. So there are already barriers. But then on top of that, you can see that as women, we're expected to look a certain way. So not only am I buying a suit, so I can look like the way a man dresses in business. I could put on a suit, but then there are dresses. skirts, blouses, all of these other things, plus makeup and shoes and flats and all. It's just all of this jewelry, And so there is so much more that we need. Plus our undergarments. There's just so much more that we need. So many women reached out. Plus designers have reached out. Stores have reached out. Rental, boutiques have reached out saying we want to help. And not only you, we want to help other women on the Hill that have this problem. We want to help other women in business that have this issue. So it has helped so many women, and I'm hoping that it helps more coming up.
All right, so first up, I just want to give credit here to Case Study QB. He found the rest of this interview that I could not find online. For whatever reason, CNN only posted the first question and answer about the Breonna Taylor mask, never posted Cori Bush's response to defund the police or anything else here. I find it odd sometimes what cable news or cable networks decide to post online and what they don't post online. Oftentimes, it's really hard to find these interviews with progressive Congress people on the internet. They don't post it on YouTube. They don't post it on Twitter, which I find weird. But for whatever reason, it wasn't posted. So thankfully, Case Study QB found it. And on what they talked about here, I don't have a lot to say. Clearly, I have a different experience. But it's important to have that perspective. Like, I don't wear makeup. I don't do anything to my hair. I know it looks like I do my hair. It dries like this. And then I wear a collared shirt. That's it. So there's a very different experience, obviously, that women go through when it comes to getting ready for work. And it's important to just understand the experiences and lives that other people live. And it helps better inform you as a human being to be more empathetic to other people. And also when it comes to lawmakers, it's obviously incredibly important. And as we see through Cori Bush and everything she fights for, she relates to people in a way that very few lawmakers in Washington do.